Good morning. Today, the third Sunday of Advent, the readings are Matthew 11, 2-11 and James 5, 7-10. Today is Gaudete Sunday or Rose Sunday, a pink candle in the Advent wreath bringing a splash of colour to signify the turn towards the happy event that is being anticipated. We are moving ever closer to the celebration of Jesus' birth at Christmas. In the Gospel reading for today, though, we find him already as an adult, talking about John the Baptist, referring to him as the greatest of the prophets, yet also saying that the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. John is the cousin who greeted the unborn Christ while still in the womb, as Elizabeth, John's mother, said to Mary at the time. He is also the one who prepared the way of the Lord in his ministry and who baptized Jesus even though he thought he shouldn't and that he was unfit to even untie the sandals of the Anointed One. So here he is again, John the Baptist, not at the river Jordan proclaiming the kingdom of heaven, but in prison and sending word by his disciples to ask Jesus if he is the one who is to come, or whether they are to wait for another. For in prison, his ministry of baptizing cut short, John gets a visitor: doubt. It's easy to understand why. When he was out and about, proclaiming the kingdom of heaven and being encouraged by Jesus himself turning up and beginning his own unique ministry, it was not difficult to remain focused and seeing where it was all leading. But now, being stopped by King Herod, who didn't like John's overt criticism of his moral behavior, John is plagued by feelings of doubt. Was it all a fantasy? Was it all for nothing? How is it that while he, John, had been faithful in following God's lead, he was not allowed to continue, and his very life was in danger? What was God planning? We can see how these and similar thoughts could come and attack John. So he asked the question, always a good thing to do. And Jesus answered, saying, "Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me." In other words, look at the evidence. It's all there. All the things that were prophesied about the Messiah are being fulfilled this very moment. Paraphrasing, you could say that he finishes in the way he spoke to Thomas after the resurrection: stop doubting and believe. In James's letter, the passage for today tells us something similar. It is a word of consolation to the faithful. Take as an example, James says, the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. Indeed, we call blessed those who showed endurance. Was John the Baptist comforted by Jesus' words reported back to him? We don't know for sure, but Jesus' reference to him as the greatest of all would imply that John's life and ministry were not wasted. On the contrary, God held him close to his heart and no doubt affirmed him even in his final hours. What about us, then, waiting for the fulfillment of the kingdom of heaven? Where do we see it sprout up in our daily lives, in our communities and places of work? Jesus didn't reply spelling it out, saying, "Yes, I am the Messiah." Rather, also because his own ministry could be in danger of Herod too, he pointed at the evidence of what the Messiah would be all about. For us, that is a reminder that we sometimes need to be witnesses to our faith in a similar way, letting people work things out for themselves. then it has a much better chance of taking root in their lives and making a difference. For faith owned through experience is faith lived in good times and in bad. May we all see it come to fruition in our own lives too. Amen.